Gas has become mad expensive these days, and now that people are looking to switch to cheaper alternatives, the debate surrounding electric versus gas is becoming very common. Many people assume that owning an EV might cost them more than a gas car, but don't worry, we're here to break down the math for you and tell you why choosing an electric car might actually be the best decision you ever take in this lifetime. First off, gas cars have had a good run in the past. In 1876, when the first gasoline-fueled car was made in Germany, who would have thought that the concept would have so much commercial success that it'd be the first choice of commute for centuries to come? Sure, it took a lot of years for combustion engines to sweep the American market, but the fact that we rely on cars for a lot of stuff is still a reminder of how powerful the invention has been. Unfortunately, the industrial boom, which was well-intentioned when it was first started, didn't consider the negative impact it'd eventually have on our environment. Not to mention, fossil fuels as an energy resource are extremely finite, and we will run out of them in the future, so looking for other avenues of power is only natural for humans. The soaring gas prices aren't helping either, since gas is a necessity, so when there's a shortage of it, the gas stations increase the price because they know it's a necessity. As a result, consumers cannot travel without it, and then the ones who can still afford to buy it will purchase more of it, and others will shift to alternatives. The alternative in question here is electric cars, but people have been hesitant to fully cross over to them because of how costly they seem. The numbers, although say otherwise, and even if they seem daunting at first, the overall package deal you get with an EV is worth considering. Now for a little comparison between the prices of electric versus gas cars. Last year, the average price for an electric car was around $10,000 more than an average gas car. And while that might scare some people, it's also important to note that as people opt for more of these electrically powered vehicles, the EV market will rapidly expand, and so the price margin will shrink massively. In the coming years, as electric vehicles become more common, it'll be easier for manufacturers to source materials for a quarter of the original price as well. The battery of these cars is the most expensive aspect of the product, and as designs get tweaked by engineers year after year and new ways of powering EVs are introduced, we can expect these cars to get more affordable with time. After all, you gotta balance the supply and demand ratio one way or the other. Once you get past the sticker price of these vehicles, you need to start looking at the taxes levied on them. The federal tax is typically $7,500 for new vehicles, but some states and utility companies even offer their own incentives during purchase. The installation of power outlets also cost an additional amount of money for EVs, so it's kinda like having your own little private gas station, except you've got 24/7 access to it. So in short, once you know what kind of incentives you qualify for, it'll be easier to compare car prices then. Don't just think of the sticker prices, think of the bigger picture. Let's talk about the cost of electricity and gasoline these days. Now coming to the main reason why some people think owning an electric car will drill an irrecoverable hole in their wallet. An advantage EV owners have over gas car owners is when they skip the pricey trips to the pump on their way to work in the morning. Sure, that depends on if you have an outlet installed at home or not, but isn't that better than looking for power points to charge your car? As per a study by the University of Michigan's Transportation Research Institute, it was found that the average cost needed to fuel an electric car was $485 a year, while gas-powered vehicles totaled up that average all the way up to $1,117 a year. Similarly, another Consumer Reports study revealed that EV drivers spent 60% less on fuel costs as compared to gas car owners, and that really puts things into perspective when you consider overhead costs. Although these numbers reflect the benefit of owning EVs, we can't ignore the complications that come with them either. For starters, the efficiency of these vehicles varies per model. It's measured by how many hours of electricity the car consumes per 100 miles. Typically, a lower kilowatt per hour value is ideal for an EV, but the 2022 Tesla Model 3 RDW disappointed everyone with its unimpressive 25 kilowatts per hour average. Even the 2022 Chevrolet Bolt EUV offers a higher average at 29 kilowatts per hour, and it's a more budget-friendly option if you want value for your money. Up next, how is having a power outlet at home better than a public power station? So far, we've talked about the exclusivity that comes with owning an installed power outlet at home, but now we're going to give you the numbers that will convince you to consider the one-time installation. No doubt having an EV and an outlet at home will affect your electricity bill, but that again depends on the kind of company you have. Instead of spending hundreds on gas every week, you might as well do the smart thing and go for an alternative that will benefit you in the long run. For example, to get a rough estimate of charging costs, all you have to do is multiply your EV's kilowatt per hour mile rate and multiply it by the per unit cost of your electricity, which is typically measured in cents. This will give you an idea of how much money you'll be putting towards your car every month, and you don't even need to make tiring visits to the gas station to fuel up your car. It's important to adjust your electricity plans before installation too. They might charge you more for charging during the day, but will definitely reward you more for powering your cars at night. Public charging stations are also very much a thing here, and while they promise you faster and higher voltage charging, they also jack up their rates by a steep margin, so it's better to have a unit of your own in your garage and be in control of everything. Not to mention, the maintenance costs are important to keep up with. Another overhead cost to consider for cars in general is maintenance costs. Getting your car serviced is a tiresome process, and no one's got the time to make weekly or bi-monthly trips to the mechanic to get your car oil changed. Sure, electric cars also come with their own maintenance cost, but they usually cost half the price it takes to repair gas-powered cars, and the math will definitely shock you. A Consumer Report shows that the per-mile maintenance cost for a BEV that has covered around 50,000 miles stands around $0.012, and for a PHEV it's around $0.021. And even if the overall mileage crosses the 200,000 margin, the per-mile cost is still barely half a cent, and that's around $46,000 less than what it would take to make sure a gas-powered car is up and running. Last but not least, there are plenty of tools out there that can help you calculate the cost of owning an electric vehicle. Whenever you're looking forward to making a hefty purchase, it's natural to see if it'll fit your needs and lifestyle. With the cost of living and inflation on the rise, it's understandable if you want to take decisions while being cautious of your budget. And if you're eco-aware, then sometimes the thought of decreasing your carbon footprint also becomes a lingering thought at the back of your head. While choosing to buy an electric car might come from a futuristic mindset, here are some tools that can help you lay down a much more accurate mathematical blueprint for you. FuelEconomy.gov is the brainchild of the Environmental Protection Agency and allows you to compare and contrast up to 4 vehicles based on EPA fuel economy. Not only that, but it gives you a fair idea of annual fuel cost, tank size, and much more. Alternative Fuels Vehicle Cost Calculator is another impressive tool created by the U.S. Department of Energy that lets you compare up to 8 EVs and gives you an even deeper insight as to how a vehicle will be used. It gives a measure of the daily driving distance as well, and an overview of the type of roads the car will be mostly driven on. And of course, the Carbon Counter is another useful service for drivers to see what kind of carbon output a vehicle is generating to make shortlisting their dream EV a little easier. And that's a wrap for this video. What do you think about electric cars? Think they're worth the investment? Let us know in the comments down below.